What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse and the LCC Network for episode 13 of our off season, and we have got some pretty interesting things to talk about this evening with you guys. But first, let me introduce who we got on the show today. We got Jordan, like always. What's going on, Jordan?
What's going on, everybody?
And
Happy Thursday.
Happy Wednesday. It's Thursday. It's Thursday.
Thursday.
You got me all mixed up. It's like, no, we got 2 more days of the week. Anyways, we got following the show again, back-to-back weeks. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Glad to be on the show.
Oh, man. Guys, we're going to take this episode in a different direction. I feel like we haven't done before. We're going to talk about free agency, in the LCC at least, early on. Guys who are projected free agents or were projected to be, and guys who are actually currently free agents, which is interesting too, so you have a baseline to work off of when you're planning your waiver wire picks. And then we're going to go through, we'll start it off with news and notes from around the league, of course, because there's a lot that's happened since the last time we were on here live. And there's some big trades. And I can't really think of any drops that happened that were big, honestly. Like, everyone's players that were on taxi squad that got cut were pretty irrelevant. Actually, besides Bud Dupree, Matt had Bud Dupree, and he didn't promote him, surprisingly. So he's a free agent.
Yeah, that's a good, strong.
Yeah, but if you don't plan on keeping him, I guess it just kind of speeds up the process of knowing who's going to be cut and who's not.
Yeah, I agree. So let's kick it off. Jordan, do us a little news and notes intro.
There you go.
I like it. All right. So let's kick this off. We're going to start with trades at least. I don't know if we'll come across any guys who got cut other than Bud Dupree, who I mentioned, but we're going to run with May 7th, the last trade that was processed since the last time we recorded was Primetime Players giving up DeAndre Hopkins and a 13th round pick in 2021 for third legs, Stephon Diggs, and their 13th round pick. So essentially they just swapped. That's all they did. I guess one guy liked another receiver over the other, and they didn't want to pay the value that they were going to have to pay for them, which makes sense. I think that worked out for them.
Oh, yeah, I think they're almost equal value. It's almost like a coin toss to who would have the better year. You know, both are great. Probably easily consensus top 5 wide receivers.
Definitely. And they both got good quarterbacks, too. So
yeah, exactly.
They've got no reason to fall off this year.
They both get extreme value as well with the swap. They do count as one of the 3 keepers, but of course we know they don't count as any draft picks, so that is extreme value on a caliber player like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Next trade, oops, I got an email notification that popped up. May 7th, same day. Oh, more emails popping up. All right. Detroit Bad Boys gave up their 7th round pick to beg for G-Reg. And basically they swapped waiver wire spots. So Detroit Bad Boys now pick 3rd, whereas beg for G-Reg is picking 7th, I'm guessing.
Yes, pick the 7th. That's what they're saying. So
yeah. I don't know. I mean, did jumping that many spots, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that's a definite risky move just because you don't even know for sure who's going to be out there. I mean,
exactly.
I'm trying to keep up with who I think is going to be cut based off people's moves and stuff. But, because I've made similar trades to move up, but I moved up heavily versus just moving up, 3 or 4 spots.
And what's the 7th round pick really worth anyways? I mean, you're not getting a starter with your 7th round pick this year, more than likely not.
Yeah, I think those picks are best for possibly the rookie draft just because that's usually where you can get some guys with some value. So maybe I could see. But I've been saying that with a lot of the trades recently where it's a lot of guys are getting traded for very minimal value. And just because, people see the appeal in let me get something because I can't keep them. But I feel like I've been saying to Jordan and Daquan, I feel like there's appeal in letting a guy just drop and forcing somebody to take a pick with them much higher. So
definitely, and that's what I play. Like guys, I've had a couple people approach me for Deshaun Watson, understandably, and of course they're gonna lowball, and who wouldn't because of the situation he's in. But I'm not gonna just give the guy away. Like I'll let someone draft him in the first round if he, assuming he gets to play. If not, no big deal. I didn't lose anything.
For sure.
Yeah, most of the league members right now are going the opposite, like we said, and trying to just don't want to lose a guy for nothing, even though they're not adding like too much real value to their offseason.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I think more of them will be valuable in the rookie draft if you see somebody there. But when it comes to like the actual draft, it's going to be. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty thin when it gets to the 7th round of that draft. So after keepers and everybody like that,
see who finagles their picks the best with putting them in and out of the rookie draft, and
for sure.
Next trade we have, this is mine actually. I traded with New Orleans Voodoo, who gave up Alvin Kamara, who initially told me wasn't interested in trading away, so I never approached him again. But it was Alvin Kamara, a 12th round pick and 11th round pick in 2021 for Josh Jacobs, Robert Woods, a 1st round pick for this year, and a 2nd round pick for this year. I think for him, he was really looking for the picks, and that's kind of the way I was able to outmaneuver Abuse and Park Peyton in that counter offer, is because I had a little bit more value there, and the picks were very close together too. So that kind of played in my favor. And not that Josh Jacobs holds a lot of value. Robert Woods is a receiver where there's plenty of receiver depth in the offseason, so I don't know how much value they're going to add, but the picks alone should definitely help him keep that team rolling.
Yeah, it was definitely a haul given up by you, but you definitely finally landed that elite running back that you've always dreamt of.
Yeah.
Yep. And it sounds like based off his team name, he's trying to stay away from New Orleans guys.
I know, right?
Voodoo. So if there's something he thinks, then that's what part of fantasy is, going with your gut. So he's feeling that Saints are not a team he wants to be a part of this year when it comes to fantasy. And he made a move to get a running back and Josh Jacobs, who some people are low on, which understandably with them getting Drake. But, he's still a guy they spent a lot of value on and capital on. They spent a 1st round pick on him only 2 or 3 years ago. So they're going to get their worth out of him still. And, and the picks are the big thing, I think Woods now, especially because I believe Voodoo made a trade today for Tyreek Hill. So I don't think he plans on keeping Woods, or he can't really.
Yeah.
But, it was great for him to get 2 first, a 1st and a 2nd round pick, and then a running back who still has a lot of potential to be a top 20 guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't the top 10 guy maybe you thought last year just because Kenyon Drake. But after injuries and everything, you never know what'll happen. So that's the great thing about fantasy.
Yeah, no, I agree. It worked out for me to get my receiver, but I'm a running back. But I had to pay a hefty price to do that.
Yeah.
I don't pick till the 4th round now.
In this league, you got to pay hefty to get your running backs. That's shown. I mean, somebody traded. Well, we'll get to the other running backs traded, but yeah.
Next trade, we'll keep rolling. Hunter of Champions gave up the second pick in the 2nd round for Devontae Adams. And at first, it's like, ooh, man, I don't know if I like that. But at the same time, you got to think there are over 30 players going to be already kept. Then you got rookie picks, and you got waiver wire. Devontae Adams is that pick. He'd probably go around then, if not earlier.
Yeah, my thought was that's definitely about where his value is. So, I mean, good job for Hunter if that's who he wanted. But now you see most of these other trades are getting a lot less value than that.
Yeah.
So you can look now and maybe Hunter may have paid a little too much, but overall that's probably where Devontae slots in anyways.
Yeah. Next trade, we've got Mufasa Moneymakers, Mafali here, who gave up his 4th round pick for Tremaine Edmonds, and who also gave up his 5th round pick, and then they also swapped waiver wire picks. So Mafali moves up into the waiver wire a good bit, and then on top of that gets a stud linebacker in Tremaine Edmonds, who's very young still, and a draft pick. Yes, I definitely feel like Mafali won that trade between
the two. Some inside thought on that, Steve?
Yeah, well, I mean, Jordan, too, Daquan really just wanted that 4th rounder when he started negotiating originally for Clyde. I guess he didn't really foresee all the counters that happened after that trade when LA started. But yeah, it was just, you know, and honestly, you know, Edmonds, I traded away Edmonds earlier, so I was getting him back. So I'm not even like, you know, he is a stud, but really I don't see myself keeping him because as much as I would like him to keep him, you know, originally I had no plans to because he was my first overall keeper value, so I wasn't going to keep him. But you know, my goal is to eventually, hopefully, trade him to somebody, or I'm just going to let him fall to the draft because I'm not. I've gotten offers, but nothing. I'm not going to take, like I said, I'm not going to take a 5th or 6th rounder from him. It's just not worth it. I don't
No,
really want the
definitely
pick.
not.
So,
yeah.
but
He
yeah,
goes in
no,
the first round.
me,
If he's
yeah,
if he's there, I guess let's say he wasn't kept or whatever, and he just entered the draft pool. I guarantee he goes in the first round.
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt. So exactly, you know, and he's a great player, and I don't doubt it. So for me, it was more about the waiver swap, especially because Daquan was the 2nd overall waiver pick. That's really what that was all centered around. Like I was like, because I originally told him like if he wanted his 4th back, I had no interest in getting Edmonds back because I was gonna have to trade him again, and the 5th round pick wasn't worth anything. So I just wanted the waiver swap to me, and that's what really sold me on that trade.
Yeah. Our next trade, I mean, Daquan has been busy. He's probably made the most trades of anyone this offseason.
Easily.
He gave up his 1st round pick and 12th round pick for Roquan Smith and a 12th round pick. Yeah, I mean, Roquan Smith would have gone in the 1st round, so I definitely see the value of doing that. And I guess he lost Tremaine Edmonds. So essentially, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, but yeah. Anyways, like he gets rid of a linebacker, he gets a linebacker, he loses a 4th round pick and a 1st round pick in the process.
Yeah, no, I for him, I think it's just he clearly sees Roquan Smith as that much more valuable than Tremaine Edmonds. You know, and I get it. Some people are still, you know, Tremaine Edmonds is somebody who had a great rookie year, but his sense is like kind of struggled health wise and stuff. But you know, he definitely is an elite talent. So it was surprising, but you know, that's what is great about fantasy. Some guys just see other players with a lot more value, even if you don't. You know, some people might, and he obviously did. He saw Roquan Smith as that much more valuable than Edmonds, which could be the case for sure. We'll see how it plays out.
Jordan, you have anything to add to that?
That was still along the lines of him trying to piece together things around him, thinking he was getting Clyde.
Yeah.
So, which he did, but
yeah,
that's where the whole swap came in. But
yeah, it goes to show you can't plan out your trades too far ahead because of all the counters. You know, like you can't predict what somebody's going to counter.
He was literally trying to like get them like done before one was even processed, and it just wasn't working out. There was a counter probably every like 25 minutes left.
Yeah. I think that I remember Isaac used to do the same thing. Like he would try to think trades like way too many steps in advance, and sometimes it would bite him in the butt. I mean, he'd figure out a way to counteract it, but still, sometimes, like you said, you got to be a little patient because the counters. I mean, you can't lowball anyone in this league anymore in a trade. Like you've got to pay a fair market price, or you got to overpay. One of the two is going to happen.
Yeah. No, I've been a fan of this counter system. It's been nice.
Yeah, and I can't believe there's been complaints about having to take a better deal, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, we won't get into that. Come on.
So next trade, this one I was really interested in. So Jameson gave up Marlon Humphrey, who's at corner for Baltimore, for a 5th round pick to beg for G-Rag. And I was like, man, I don't know why I didn't counter offer this because I could have offered a better defensive back to Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it worked out for Jameson. I guess BP was satisfied with Humphrey, so
I liked this for Jameson.
Yeah.
I mean,
based off. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jordan.
5th round is a pretty good value, and like I'm just not a fan of keeping cornerbacks, especially. And it sounds weird to say, but especially elite cornerbacks because they don't get targeted. Like, so, good job, Jameson, on that trade.
Yeah, especially based off the trades today and seeing where some DBs went, which we'll get to later. But you know, there's a lot of DBs that I like a lot more that went for even less value. So
yes,
it goes to show maybe even waiting sometimes it pays off if you wait for some trades. But
earlier in the offseason, I know he's got some injury history, but I shipped Derwin. for a sixth round. And I mean, I feel like Derwin's ceiling is way higher as a playmaking safety.
Yeah, I thought you got him for. I thought you got a fourth rounder for him from Cody, right?
Okay, a fourth round. I'm thinking of my trade with Charles.
Yeah, the Matt Ryan one. Yeah, you got a fourth, which is still like I think great value for both teams involved. You know.
Yeah, and you would think Marlin would demand a few rounds lower than that.
Yeah, and this next trade is interesting. So we're talking about earlier, like you got to overpay for a guy, or you got to offer like exact market value for a guy. So Cameron gave up a third, like a late third, for Jesse Bates, who's still the strong safety there in Cincinnati. And I've always been a fan of Jesse Bates. He's younger than Harrison Smith, who was Cameron's option at DB. I'm trying to look at his age. He's still pretty young. Yeah, he's 24 years old, so the dude's got plenty of years left in the tank. He shouldn't be going anywhere in terms of not being a starter anymore. So I think this was perfect value for Jesse Bates. I could even see him going in the second round, depending on how these keepers go. I do think a lot of people will be surprised when they get to the late part of the first round, and some people are saying, "Oh, there's no way I draft a DB in the first round." They're going to find themselves looking like, this is the best player available. I'm going to have to get a safety here. You know what I mean? Like, well, you could have gotten him like way cheaper if you would have traded like a fourth round pick for him or something, you know?
No doubt. Jesse Bates is definitely a top 5 to 10 safety. 10 for sure, possibly 5. He's a great safety.
Yeah, and it works out for Colby too. I don't think Colby undersold Jesse Bates. I'm not saying that. He gets a third round pick out of this. That essentially is getting another starting player.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was good for both teams because at a certain point, you know, if you put in the second round, you might as well just risk taking him in the draft. You know, you still got to try to get some value out of it if you're the person trading for the player. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've owned Jesse Bates before, and I'm highly impressed with his play. So I like that for Cameron. But like you said, Colby definitely wasn't going to keep him for the value that he was at. So got another starting player with that pick. So pretty even swap all around.
Yeah, definitely. And this next trade, this was like fun over the weekend on Sunday, like late Sunday night. Daquan gave up a third, an 11th, and a third in 2022 for CEH and 11th round pick from Colby, Mr. 300. This was, man, he was going to get him practically dirt cheap earlier on, but I think it was Armando, who basically made Daquan pay hand over fist for him. Not hand over fist. I mean, I think he's kind of worth that value, but I still like 2 third-round picks in back-to-back years. Yeah. Like, that kind of stinks.
The original offer was just a fourth rounder.
I know. Crazy.
And then Daquan goes and becomes the first one to give a pick for next season.
Yeah.
So.
Bidding wars, man. That's the best part about these counters. What, you know.
It was fun to watch go down in the group me.
It was fun. Yeah. It's almost like watching someone play like Texas Hold'em or any card game, really. You know what I mean? Where people are really having to think about their next move before they make it. And if you don't think it all the way through, it can bite you in the butt.
Yep.
Next trade, we had Steel Curtain. That's Cody give up his 5th round pick and a 6th round pick and an 11th round pick all in 2021 for TJ Watt and an 11th round pick. I know there's a lot of picks involved here, but I don't value any of them that highly, so I think it kind of works out. He gave not a bunch of junk, but he gave multiple picks that aren't going to land you a starter, at least in the regular draft, for a guy who's going to be your starter. So I think that worked out for Cody, but Daquan also obviously is lacking picks in this draft class because of the moves he's made, so he needed those to be able to land some guys probably in the rookie draft.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great deal. I mean, you know, I messaged you that night because I was the one originally who traded for TJ Watt, and then Cody countered a few times, and then I settled for the next trade we'll talk about. But I really wanted that, and looking back, I might have countered even more for TJ Watt because he's that valuable. But in the end, I feel like I did all right. So it's, you know, just kind of move on. But TJ Watt is a great player, and I feel like that was just a great move. He's like pretty, he's pretty solid to be a top 5 or top 3 defensive end for sure this year. He doesn't really get hurt is his big thing. He's pretty consistently on the field.
My thing is with TJ, I'm interested to see how does he perform with Bud Dupree gone in Tennessee.
Yeah, but I did look at his stats when Bud Dupree went out last year, and they were still pretty good. So,
okay,
I'm sure he'll be all right. But because that's something that I was interested in as well when I was making the trade. But I went and looked at his stats after Bud Dupree got hurt, and they were still up there, like elite, like at least 30 a game.
I think
on average,
the type of talent where he's not reliant on anybody around him. He's just gonna. I mean, honestly, he's gonna go beat like a triple team's ass. Like that's what Watt does. But I thought it was a great trade for Cody, and I know Steve wanted him at first, but I was a little surprised at first, but just I was actually with Cody when it went down, and he was just highly shocked at the value that he was giving him away for him. Just as we all know, he's a Steeler fan as well, and he just had to have that himself. But
because he had Nick Bosa as a 12th round keeper, which is why I ended up making that next trade. But
that's why it was a little surprising, just because I knew he already had Bosa in the wings for cheap. But between being an elite player and the value and on his favorite team, he just pulled the trigger, and then we'll move on. Good for Cody.
Yeah, and we'll move on to the next trade involving a defensive lineman, and that was
pretty much springboard from the trade we just discussed.
Exactly. Cody gave up Nick Bosa for just a 5th-round pick to Mafali, and I thought that was great value. Honestly, it's a starting player for a 5th-round pick, and again, I don't think a 5th-round pick is going to land most people a starter outside of maybe a quarterback, or if you get a guy in the rookie draft. So I thought that worked out perfectly for you.
Yeah, no, there's the injury risk, and there's a lot of talk now about them, like, putting him on a snap count and, stuff like that. But in the end, a guy like that, no matter how many snaps he's getting, he's going to get pressures. He's going to get to the quarterback. So, it was worth the risk. A guy like that could be another top, defensive end. I mean, I know there's a lot of good guys out there, defensive end wise. There's a lot of athletic edges coming into the league now.
Yeah.
I still would be very happy taking my chances with Nick Bosa. So.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the risk in the 5th.
Yeah, for sure.
If he even comes close to his ceiling, that's a steal all day.
Our next trade here was, again, another Daquan trade. Burrow's body count gave up his 4th-round pick, kind of like a mid 4th-round pick, essentially, for Jeremy Chin. I liked this, honestly. I had thought about making a counteroffer here, but I was like, I don't know if I can really offer. Well, I literally couldn't offer anything better than a 4th-round pick. And I didn't want to do that because, again, I only had, that's my first pick in the draft is the 4th round.
Yeah,
so
that's tough.
I wasn't going to do it. But I thought it was a good value for both of them.
Yeah, for sure. Chin's a great player.
Yeah, I liked it for both of them. And Chin's, like you said, great. I like that he's almost even better because you can almost say he's a flex just because he played linebacker last year, and he's going to play mostly safety this year, but he's going to have that eligibility.
Yeah.
Depending on how your roster shakes out, you can have him at linebacker or safety. And I had actually a quick conversation with Burrow's body count this morning, and as of right now, he said he wants to keep him at linebacker, but as he noted, plans change. So,
based off his keepers, because I think he made a trade today for a safety, so he'd have to keep him as a linebacker for now. But as season goes on, then obviously that changes. As long as you keep up your position eligibilities, you can change it, which is a great option to always have, obviously.
Yeah, I always like that with all these tweeners.
It
doesn't happen a lot with linebacker and safety, usually between linebacker and DN. But
yeah, exactly. That's usually the big one.
And then second last trade we had go through in the 13th. Today, actually. I was the one that put that through. So I don't know why I'm acting like this is new. But Burr's body count gave up Aaron Jones. So this is a big boy trade and an 11th round pick for amusement parks. First round pick, kind of middle to late, depending on how you look at it, 116 and the 409. I thought when I saw this, it's like, damn, I overpaid for my RB1 when I saw this, just because like I would have much rather given up a 116 and a 409 than a 1 and a 2, and then plus other players I could have traded off to someone else. So good for Peyton. I thought they both kind of won this trade really, but
yeah, I thought it was great for both teams really. I mean, Jones is risky too without Rodgers. I think people think first like the person it'll affect the most is Devontae Adams, but I actually think it's Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Rodgers makes their run game a lot better by how smart he is at the line of scrimmage, and
yeah,
Devontae Adams is going to get his, but running backs struggle, especially if like teams get more run heavy on them, like trying to force them maybe stacking the box a little bit, or if the quarterback's not play actioning to something that can make the running back successful. So I think that, but it's still a great trade for both teams because I think Rodgers will be back. I've been saying that. I don't really see him leaving, but
yeah,
I eventually think they'll make him happy, and that offense will be good again.
And then the last trade that was put through around the same time, and when I first saw this, all it said was Mufasa Moneymakers giving up a 5th round pick for nothing to Afternoon Delight, and I was like, I texted Jordan's like, what is this? Like, but it's actually it's in the notes section. It's basically swapping waiver wire picks. So again, Mufasa Moneymakers moves up into the waiver wire even more, and Afternoon Delights gets a pick. So there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. We won't discuss that one too much.
We won't discuss that
one. Yeah, that was just like, I'm trying to get – I wanted 2 high waiver picks. I've been saying that for a while, and I've been offering a lot of people, even you, Pat.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it, man. I was like, I this is a starter that I'm getting at this spot. Like, if I
– Well, yeah, you picked a little bit higher than Jordan, too, so.
Yeah, I think I've got, like, the 4th pick.
Yeah, you're 4th, I believe.
Yeah, 4th pick. So this is a guy who's going to be my starting lineup, more than likely, knock on wood, barring injuries. But
I just didn't see too much action for myself on the waiver wire, so I didn't mind giving it up. And now this gives me 2 4ths and 2 5ths. And honestly, I'll probably place all 4 of those into the rookie draft and see what happens.
Yeah, no doubt. That's because even if you use both in the rookie draft, you still have both rounds for the regular draft again. So
yeah.
That's what I think a lot of these picks traded for will be have their most value is the rookie draft because it's your best chance to get value because it's a little bit different setup than a regular draft.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was both of our thought processes.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. There's the inside scoop. All right, so we are done with news and notes. That took a little longer than I think I projected us to be, but we're at 28 minutes now. So we're going to hop into our next segment here, which is our LCC. I can't even remember what I titled it. It's our free agency.
It's
favorite free agents. That's what it is.
And potential free agents.
Yes.
Assuming like they're not traded or kept surprisingly over the next month.
Right.
Less than a month, but
yeah, some of them are based off too, like guys that have said they're definitely not keeping these, or guys where if you look at the keepers they've traded for based off positions, they legally can't keep the guys unless there's a late trade for some of these guys, then they'll be dropped.
Yeah.
And the way we did this, we each picked one player per position, so quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, because we count them as both in our league, defensive line as a whole, linebacker, and defensive back as a whole. And I think it's safe to say none of us picked a corner. I think a couple of us may have picked at least a tight end. I know I did.
I think we all agree corners suck.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're getting a rookie, I'm not really interested in a cornerback.
Yeah.
No, it's not cool on your team to say, I got the guy who gets torched constantly and gets tackles. It's more fun to say, I got the cool safety who makes a bunch of sacks and tackles. Yeah. Like nobody wants the guy that's just constantly getting torched and getting a bunch of tackles from it.
Yeah. So I guess we'll kick it off. We'll start off with quarterback, guys. I picked Sam Darnold here as my favorite, and I should preface this with I picked guys who are currently free agency, not projected, not more than likely. Like, these are guys who are not rostered, who are guaranteed to be in the waiver wire pool. So some of these players aren't going to be as good as some of the guys that Jordan and Steven are going to pick here in a second. But my quarterback I went with was Sam Darnold because he's the best one available in free agency right now. I'm not saying this is a guy like you want to use in the first round of the waiver wire or anything, but if you're picking late in the second round of the waiver wire, you don't have your starting quarterback, Sam Darnold's worth taking a look at. I mean, Carolina's got a pretty solid offense. I think he'll definitely be in the top 24 among quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
They set up in a good offense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love Sam. Hopefully he can develop just because it's like my team too, so hopefully he does develop. And I like him. I think he'll have a few more design runs than he ever did in New York. So I think overall, barring injury, he should have a lot better year away from the Jets.
Yeah. All right, Jordan, you want to kick us off with our next quarterback?
Yeah, my quarterback pick was Tua, the young man from Alabama, rookie year last year. But I'm just banking more on his development. He got to play a lot more towards the end of the year, and I just think if he's going to take a step, it'll probably start coming. So the Dolphins don't decide to go in another different quarterback direction prematurely. So I'm looking for development from him. I like a few of his weapons. I feel like the defense down there keeps growing. So yeah, I'm a fan of him. I don't know what you guys think.
I love him. I mean, if he's there when I pick in the waiver wire, there's a decent chance that I actually take him at that pick because I need
Yeah,
a quarterback.
I feel you.
Yeah, no, I mean, as the person who rosters him currently, I could say he's definitely getting dropped, unfortunately, because I do like him as well, but not enough to keep him over a lot of the other guys I had, the opportunity to keep. So, great developmental guy, obviously. Let's see how he plays with Waddle. And, just another year maybe for Devontae Parker if he could stay healthy. Because Parker is a great, talented receiver, and he's never played against, alongside another great receiver. So
Yeah,
they're going to be an interesting team. I've been big on the Dolphins for a while. I like what Brian Flores has been doing there ever since he went there. Another Bill Belichick disciple. So
yeah, I'm a big Brian Flores fan as well.
Yeah. All right, Steven, you're up next. Who do you got?
yeah, so mine is also a guy who's rostered currently, but based off of all the trades Daquan's making, unless he trades this guy, which is I think going to be tough because I can't even trade Tua, which is like a pretty equal value guy. He's got Jalen Hurts, and Hurts. Even though the Eagles are saying there's a quarterback competition, I feel like that's just kind of what you say to
Yeah.
motivate your guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, but he's going to be the starter there. He's got a lot of options. He brings that that running potential, obviously, and they drafted a receiver too, and their offense could be scary too. I mean, I know they've had awful luck drafting receivers in the past, but maybe things change for them and Ertz stays healthy. If Ertz is there still, I know he had some contract issues over the offseason, but haven't really kept up with what he did. But either way, with Goddard and the rest of that team, they can have a very good offense. And they signed Kerryon Johnson as well, I think, during the offseason. So, they're going to have a pretty nice offense, I think. And he can lead that, and it makes him a very valuable waiver quarterback, assuming he does end up getting cut.
Yeah, I like that pick. The main thing, of course, is like anytime a guy is dual threat, like they're extra valuable in fantasy, especially in our
Mm-hmm.
league. And he's definitely that. I believe he already did have a 100+ yard rushing game last year, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's definitely a guy that if he's got the opportunity, I mean, the team might not win, but he might put up some crazy fantasy value between his arm and his legs.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. He's a
Yeah.
great player.
Both those guys are going in the first round of the waiver wire for sure if they're there.
Yeah,
Like,
most definitely.
I
And
don't
I
see
guess
how you pass on them.
yeah, and I guess just for this, like I guess for the shout out for like I kind they're both free agents with Taysom Hill and Winston. I mean, they're I didn't want to list them just because like I have no idea
Yeah,
who's really going to start. I mean,
exactly.
I would
There's a
assume it's going
chance
to
they
be
use
Hill.
both. There's a good chance they use both to start the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a messy thing, but I mean, one of them could turn into a great quarterback this year just based off that offense. But I doubt like anybody takes a chance on him. Really, it would be after Darnold, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like those are guys I definitely wouldn't even bother drafting in the regular draft too. Like I would let them both go into free agency and then wait after a couple weeks to see how the Saints run their offense, and then use a waiver wire pick to get him to make him your quarterback for the rest of the year. Because I really think either one could be like a top 15 fantasy quarterback if they get to play the whole season. So
yeah.
We'll move on to running backs here. Again, I went with guys who are currently free agents in our league. And next, running back, James White. There's not a lot of pickings here at running back, at least currently, before the keeper deadline. But James White, I just like his PPR value, and especially certain weeks. Especially with the quarterback battle going on in New England right now, I think Big Mac is going to use James White in the checkdown game a decent amount. So I do like James White for that.
Yeah, James White is always a PPR machine. He is the lead receiving back in that New England offense. I'm just not a huge fan of the New England backfield
Yeah,
as a whole. Actually, I think somebody else might get talked about later that I liked a little more. But yeah, so I like what he brings to the field, but I just don't like how often he's on the field.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they just drafted a running back too, actually. So
yeah, right.
Always something with running backs, man. Bill Belichick just has the desire to have as many running backs as possible. He does not want to.
He has a stable at all times.
Yeah, for sure. He keeps his horses loaded up in the stable.
He does.
But my pick, I'm gonna keep it on that Miami Dolphin train, Mr. 305 tonight. But Myles Gaskin at running back, and technically he's not a free agent yet, but I guess we can kind of confirm or deny with Patrick right now what he is deciding to do with Myles Gaskin. But if he is there, like I said, with the development of that whole team and offense as a whole, I really like that he'll have a starting opportunity and see what happens.
I actually, my plan, if I wasn't able to trade for RB1, I was going to keep Gaskin actually for dirt cheap. But now that I've obviously got mine, I'm not going to keep him. I am trying to trade him if someone's interested, but I've even the ideas crossed my mind like, well, he could fall to me in the waiver wire, just pick him up that way, and like have two running backs. So
yeah,
I love Gaskin. He's at the moment he's the only running back in that team, in my opinion, at least worth mentioning. So he should have a good year.
Yeah,
agreed. Yeah, and I went with Damian Harris. Just kind of going off of Pat's James White. I just think that they're going to run more of a traditional like I formation or like option offense where they're going to run Harris a lot with Cam, especially with Cam starting. But even when Mac Jones comes in, I can see them going a little bit of I formation, play action, and stuff like that. So I really just think Damian Harris is, and also I guess maybe just Bill Belichick just saying roll tide and just wanting to go, Mac Jones, Damian Harris like back in the day. I'm sure. Well, maybe in practice, but they never played together really in college. But they did play on the same team technically.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I like Harris a lot, and it sucks because I love Sony Michel too. But I think Bill Belichick's kind of moving on from him and saying, it's I know we spent a first round pick on him, but he's not looking like the guy we wanted, and they think they like Damian Harris more based on what I've been reading and everything like that.
Yeah, that was what I was alluding to. I like Damian Harris slightly more than James White. I just feel like he's going to get more of the bulk if anybody does.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's two Patriots running backs on here, and the one that's not listed is like the first round pick from 2 or 3 years ago. So
like I'll go even a step further. Like if you're telling me to pick a Patriot running back over the next 4 years, I might take the rookie Stevenson.
Yeah.
You never know with Belichick offenses though. So everybody knows by this point. I think when it comes to the Patriots running backs in fantasy, like you try to stay away.
Yeah,
Except for that 1 year with Brady, that both Sony and James White went off. It's been a pretty iffy.
I respected Stevenson's skill set in college. He kind of reminds me of a top end faster LeGarrette Blount,
which that's what I was about to say.
Like had a lot of success in New England.
That was the last running back to have success there.
Exactly. The Patriots like the ground and pound when they can, but they just haven't had a guy that could do that. They thought it'd be Sony. I don't know how he pronounces it, but they thought it would be him, but he just hasn't looked like it. He's not very elusive. He just ever since that knee injury for him.
Yeah,
he just
I think that was a big part of it, man. Like in college he looked right there with his teammate Chubb, and I feel like that knee injury really took it out of him.
Yeah, maybe this year he bounces back from it. He's still young, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna be interesting to watch, especially through training camp and preseason, who we
Yeah.
see
So
getting the first team reps.
keep an eye on
Probably
the
all of
New
them.
England running back headlines.
All right, receiver, tight end. I went George Kittle here. I just feel like with the 49ers offense, I know they have a lot of weapons, but typically, like, anytime you get a rookie quarterback starting, tight ends get fed the ball. And I like that for George Kittle. I think he could have a very good year.
Yeah, you know.
100%. He could have another 1,000-yard year, like the year he had 2 years ago when he, broke tight end records. Could easily see him doing that again.
Yeah, it's always weird suggesting a tight end, but if anyone's going to get force fed the ball, he's it, and he's got, let's face it, receiving type ability. So
There's not many tight ends I'd take, but there's maybe like three or four,
yeah,
that you
yeah,
take a chance on in a league like this.
I agree. My I went with a receiver in that section, but I'm going with Mr. Cooper Cup, assuming he is there. And my whole theory is here, like I feel like Cooper Cup is a top 20 stat guy regardless of who his quarterback is, and in my opinion, Matthew Stafford is a hefty upgrade over Jared Goff, and so I feel like those top 20 stats could easily swing into top 10 stats. Um, Being Stafford's go-to guy. But yeah, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I think Cup, if he falls into the waiver wire, I mean, good God, he's definitely worth taking. I don't see how you don't take Cooper Cup if you need a receiver.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a top 20 receiver, regardless of his quarterback. But with Stafford, he could be really pushing those top 10 numbers, maybe.
All right.
Yep, and I went with Odell. I mean, I know he's rostered by Jordan, but could confirm or deny that he's going to get traded or dropped unless he somehow gets traded. But just of course, the big name, man. It's Mr. Odell Beckham. He is was at one point considered the best receiver in football, and injuries happened, and now he is an afterthought in a sense, but he's still got the skills in that Browns offense, and that is really could be elite. If everything clicks for them with all the weapons they have, Baker Mayfield puts it together and they can block. They have an elite offense out there, and it could be scary if Odell finally gets it going again like he once did.
Yeah, I agree. That's star power name. I mean, just by itself, like, but if he ever can stay healthy and replicate it, I mean, that's an easy top five receiver, like stat wise, and you
Mm-hmm.
can get him for basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can confirm he will be in the waiver wire.
Yeah, it's tough. You're not going to get. It's tough to get like trades for
Yeah,
receivers because they just don't hold much value
especially
unless
injury.
it's one of the top guys.
Yeah, I think. I mean, come on, like OBJ, like that's a big name. Like going in the waiver wire, you know what I mean? Like, how do you not take him? Like,
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Once you hear that name, and it's always going to be like, wow, give me him.
yeah.
yeah. All right, first defensive players coming off here. For my defensive line, I went Bud Dupree. Like I said, Matt dropped him, and when I saw that, I was like, well, I mean, if I didn't have a defensive lineman, which I do, I would definitely take him in the top 4 picks. He's definitely worth looking at. But I've already got my defensive lineman with Chase Young, so I don't need Bud Dupree. But Bud Dupree is a top 12 guy, I feel like, more than likely, especially in Tennessee. I think it's a chance for him to be the star guy there. I know he could face more double teams, being the outside linebacker in that 3-4 defense, and you don't have T.J. Watt on the other side to help you out. But I do think this is a chance for Bud Dupree to be a big boy finally and really run that defense.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's pretty good. I think he will have a little downside not being with TJ, because that's a hell of a player drawing attention. But I still feel like he's going to have a good year, and I believe the only reason Matt did let him go is because he decided to keep Aaron Donald, which just by name, yeah, that makes sense. Uh, But yeah, hell of a pass rusher coming out, and he's usually shown the ability to not only get to a quarterback, but like make a splash play happen as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to be what the Titans hoped that Clowney was last year. You know, like when they signed Clowney for that 1 year deal, he's going to give them what they really wanted, which is like the pass rush. Like Clowney's always in the NFL shown he's more of a run defender than a pass rusher. But I think Bud Dupree's going to give them that pressure they want because the only way you're going to beat the Chiefs is if you get pressure on Mahomes, and they know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he should be at least worth taking in the first round of the waiver wire for sure. He's worth a top 24 pick in the waiver wire.
Yeah. So my defensive lineman is Bradley Chubb of the Denver Broncos, and I really like Chubb, man. He's young. He's still young, and he's only gonna, like I said, I thought Dupree was gonna struggle a little bit without TJ. On the other hand, Bradley Chubb is gonna benefit from getting someone of Von Miller's caliber back on the other side of him. He's gonna face less double teams, and he's definitely a talent that will consistently dominate one-on-one blocks, and I think he'll have a pretty good year.
I love Bradley Chubb. I mean, that's another big name. I honestly, between all the positions going into the waiver wire, DL is the only other position that can really compete with wide receiver / tight end in terms of depth. I feel like, as you can see here, we just talked about two guys who are definite top 12 in their position, and they are going to be there for the pickings more than likely for everyone.
Yeah, and here comes one more.
Yeah, in Chandler Jones. I mean, let's see what he could do with J.J. Watt beside him this year. Those two are two veterans that, maybe past their primes, but they're still elite guys who have been sack leaders individually, in different seasons. So it could be really scary what those two could do together. And Chandler Jones is a great option in the waiver draft for sure. Like, Pat's saying, there's so much depth potentially it's looking like with wide receivers and D line.
Yeah, Chandler Jones is another guy who should be a solid pickup. There you go. There's three guys, top 12 in their position. They are in the waiver wire. I don't know if we'll get to see that many years going forward, but this year is definitely a year to consider getting a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler Jones, the last one we just talked about, the guy's literally led the league in sacks before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like so. All right. So moving on to linebacker, what you got, Pat?
I've got Bernardrick McKinney, who is currently a free agent, which is kind of interesting to me because, I mean, the guy was so explosive last year in Houston. And you think, let's say Deshaun Watson actually does not play this year. Their offense is going to be total trash. I mean, say what you want about Tyrod Taylor, but he's not a true QB1 in the NFL. And I think that defense is going to live on the field, and McKinney should get high volume of tackles again. And he's still the projected inside linebacker, or starting inside linebacker again in their defense. So, yes, I love McKinney. Even if we're talking projections, I love him as a pickup in the waiver wire this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's going to be – sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
You're good. Just like you said, the opportunity is his biggest asset. Is like I feel like he will have tons of opportunity of just like being on the field. And that's just me forecasting. I don't think Deshaun will play at least a full season. But
I'm not sure if you guys know. Well, McKinney's signed with the Dolphins.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
I didn't know. I was.
Yep. Oh yeah, I was just waiting. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say quick. But yeah, because I was looking at him as well. That's trading up in the waiver wire twice. I've obviously been doing my homework on guys that I think are going to make it. I didn't just do it for no reason. But he's somebody that I like, and he's a guaranteed guy out there because he's a free agent. But yeah, he is with the Dolphins now, and I know they have Jerome Baker, but he kind of never has really panned out to what everybody thought he would be.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunities for tackles out there. That Miami defense they have a pretty good D line, and they could build a good front seven there, and just a team that's on the up for sure, as you can see by a lot of our picks.
And Baker's really, in my opinion, more of an outside guy. And I'm looking at their projected starting depth chart in Miami. McKinney's still the projected starting linebacker there, playing inside.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, he's somebody that I was eyeing I saw you put him on your list because that's actually because I was going to try to get as many, free agents as I could, but it was really going thin for some of them, so I just kind of did some potential ones. But
Yeah.
for an already free agent, he's without a doubt the best
Yeah.
linebacker out there right now.
So just changing my commentary, I probably like them a little more with the Dolphins just because I mentioned the Dolphins earlier. Like I already like their defense, and I feel like that's one position they could have probably plugged in someone a little better. So yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right, Jordan, let's hear it.
Okay, so my linebacker, I'm going Mr. Nate Jerry of the Philadelphia Eagles. This is just off of strictly like of what he showed last year. The guy averaged 27.4 points per game, but he got hurt in week 8 and didn't play after that. So I'm just patching that together a full season about that average. That's someone pretty good to get in the waiver wire.
Big fan of him. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I kind of worry that maybe they might trade for Jordan Hicks since Jordan Hicks is on the block according to Arizona.
Yeah.
And he's already familiar with the Eagles, and the Eagles are always trading. The Eagles are probably one of the most active trading teams in the NFL.
Yeah, and that would definitely change my Jerry projection.
Yeah, but if as standing, Jerry is definitely a great value.
Actually, I don't know if he's on the Eagles anymore.
Is that another one we misrepresented?
I'm looking up because he's not even slotted in their depth chart right now in Philadelphia. So I'm trying to.
Oh, sorry. No, he's with the 49ers now.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, we're messing the whole league up right now. Still, quality. I gave you his points per game over an 8-week season. Give him a chance.
Give him a chance. Come on, Sam.
Yeah,
Fran.
I mean, playing alongside Fred Warner, it could be a good opportunity for him. But
yeah,
I guess everybody who's listening could note that there's opportunity to be had, obviously now in the Eagles linebacking core. But it sounds like more than ever now they'll probably trade for Jordan Hicks. So maybe we'll be able to be the breaking news on that. We'll be the, the inside scoop kind of thing. But either way,
as soon as that
Jerry could be a great value.
Yeah. Who'd you have in mind at linebacker?
I had Corey Littleton, so somebody who got a big contract last year and did not live up to it at all, especially to begin the year, but kind of picked it up as the year went on. He's not a free agent, but he also is owned by Burrow's Body Count, who just traded for Jeremy Chin. So, obviously he has other options. He had other ideas for linebackers. So Corey Littleton will fall to the waiver draft, and he's somebody who has a big bounce back potential this year. I think just obviously was great with the Rams, but got and he got paid pretty well by the Raiders, so I know they're going to give him another chance. It's not like they're just going to say screw it, let's just throw away our investment. But he's somebody who I think is a big bounce back candidate this year potentially.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, just off of him being a player that's done it already. I know he had a down year, but I feel like once a guy's shown it, he can always do it again. But so yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and he's still relatively young. He's 27, so I mean, he should have a good 5 years left in the tank probably before he retires too. So I like Corey Littleton the waiver wire. I think that'd be a great pick.
Yeah, and credit to him. It was a tough year to change teams this year. I know everybody had to deal with the same problems, but going to new teams and everything like that, learning new schemes was definitely tough last year just because of all the COVID restrictions.
I will say it would hurt a player like him more being like somebody that needs to get everybody on the same page with the playbook and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
In a COVID year with no mini camps or anything, he probably struggled getting himself in line, much less 10 other dudes.
Yeah, without a doubt. So that's, big bounce back potential.
My guy here is who has you probably never heard of him. I didn't until today when I was exploring depth charts online. But Ashton Davis, the projected starting strong safety in New York for the Jets. That's right. I just named someone probably no one has heard of. I was gonna try to pull up his average from last season, but I mean, they lost Bradley McDougald, right? Bradley McDougald was a top 24 safety. He did it in Seattle. He did it in New York. In New York, really, I don't think was a great landing spot for him anyways. Obviously, he's not on the team anymore, so that just goes to show you that. But I do think this is an interesting position. I mean, the Jets are rebuilding. This is kind of a new offense and a new defense to a certain. I can't even talk right now. I'm forgetting words. But anyways, like I like him. Like he's in a good spot. He should get a lot of volume.
Yeah, and shame on you. I guess I'm the only one that has heard of Ashton Davis, but I guess that may just be from being a fan of college football. But absolute stud from Cal.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good draft pick last year. He just didn't get on the field as early as some people thought. But yeah, I like him. He made plays in college, and all you can ask for is hopefully that translates. I mean, he had a 58-point game, so like
yeah.
I'm not saying like he can do that every week, but it shows he can make a play.
Yeah, if you look at his average from when he actually played, it's pretty good. Like it's actually borderline starting safety numbers. In terms of my guy, I went off guys who are currently free agents. This isn't projection, real deal. He's available. Um, I think it's interesting. I mean, he's been in the league for a little bit now. He's 2 years of experience, 24 years old. Um, I think it'll be a good opportunity for him to show what he's capable of. All right, Jordan, let's
All
hear
right.
your DB.
My DB is Taylor Rapp, and
Ooh,
about like my linebacker, my theory on him: 25 points per game from a DB, and he got hurt in week 10 and didn't play again. So overall, he may not have ended up in this waiver wire if he would have stayed healthy. So if you're looking for an extreme value at defensive back, I think Taylor Rapp could be it.
yeah. I mean, Taylor Rapp's proven time and time again when he's on the field,
Yeah,
when he's given the starting job, he is a guy. Because last year, actually, he was not the starting safety at the beginning of the year. I think Maria had him last year for the majority of the season, and I forget who went down, but Taylor Rapp got placed back into the depth chart at the starting role, and he played good fantasy wise. I think the
yeah,
issue with him is he's getting tackles, but it's after someone's made a play essentially. So not what you really want from a safety. You want someone to be a little more proactive than that.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a good player for sure. I was reading something that like somebody they drafted right after him last year, or the year they drafted him, and Terrell Burgess, like at safety. I've never heard of him. I would just when Jordan put him, I just and I'd also been looking at Rap a little bit too as a potential guy to take because as I'm trying to trade Landon Collins. I'm not going to keep him, so I'm going to go I'm going to try to get a DB otherwhere, but I think that Taylor Rapp could be a great player, but they said that this Terrell Burgess kid could potentially take his job, is what I was reading. So just a note for anybody that's listening, they can go look him up. But
Keep an eye on both.
yeah, for sure, they're both young guys. They're both taken in the same draft. Rapp was, I think, a second rounder, and that kid was a fourth rounder. So not much of a difference. And there's definitely opportunity to be had with John Johnson leaving. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Who's your DB?
yeah, and then my DB is Kyle Duggar, the second round pick that the Patriots had last year. Just a pretty big safety that could play in the box. I mean, obviously, Adrian Phillips found a lot of success last year. They just signed him last year, and he was about a 500-point scorer. So there's obviously opportunities at the safety position to get tackles, and I think maybe Duggar takes a step up this year, maybe fills that role more just because he's the younger guy, and I know Belichick was really big on him, and that's why he took him in the second round. And I know he was one of like the Division II AA players. I don't know if he definitely wasn't a Power Five or like big time school players. What I'm trying to say,
Right.
somebody that he went and reached for maybe a little bit, but he liked him a lot.
I'll clarify just because I know, but he went to Lenore Ryan in North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. So what is that, Division II or AA
Yeah,
or?
pretty small school. But yeah, he's a baller, and I actually wanted him as a Panther. I was really hoping we would land him, just him being from North Carolina and knowing what
Mhm.
he's about. But I thought it was a great move by the Patriots last year, and like I almost thought he would get on the field more than he did last season. But you know, Belichick wants his rookies to know what they're doing.
Oh yeah, I feel like as a rookie, especially we were talking about with the COVID years, like a defense that's going to be tough to get into is a Belichick defense because they're not simple by any means.
But as soon as he's allowed on that field full time for Belichick, he's an absolute stud. He's almost like Jeremy Chin, except like he's gonna start at safety, like instead of linebacker. Like
Yeah, I agree. They're kind of similar builds and similar,
yeah,
players in general.
great size speed combo.
Yeah.
So what do you think,
Yeah,
Pat?
I like him, man. I think he's by. I mean, me personally, I don't think New England's defense as a whole is what it was like 3 or 4 years ago. So I think Duggar's going to get a lot of volume more than anything, and I like that in a safety in our league, or in an IDP league where tackles are very rewarding, especially for DBs. So I think Duggar should have a very good year and is worth taking in the waiver wire.
Mm-hmm. And
Cool.
that wraps up our waiver segment.
It does. An hour-long episode. We have not done an hour episode in a very, very, very long time. Sorry we got a little long-winded, but hopefully the content was good for you guys and enjoyed it. Anything you guys want to add before we hop off the show? I know we got the keeper deadline rolling up in about 2 weeks, I want to say.
I think it's actually 3 weeks from today.
3
I want to say,
weeks?
yeah, 3 weeks from today because
That's crazy. So much can still happen between now and then.
Yeah. So if you want to get a move in, go ahead and do it and
Yeah.
start thinking about your keepers. But other than that, I don't have anything else to add. When I wrote Steven to do this tonight, I told him it shouldn't be that long.
yeah, it's not a big deal. No.
All right, Jordan, you want to play us out? Sing us a song?
You want to sing this one?
I don't know if I have the voice like you do. I mean, you're the songbird of our generation.
Let's hear it, Jordan.
All right.